Christ is the answer. Christ is the answer. Amen. Amen.
Thank you for joining us for another session of Fulfilling Life with Deshandra Jones, an outreach ministry of Sovereign Truth. We welcome you to continue to write to us your prayer requests. We thank you for sharing your praise reports, and we really appreciate the contribution to help keep the gospel going. We also encourage you and invite you to like and subscribe our YouTube channel called Fulfilling Life with Deshandra Jones. Like and subscribe. Hopefully, you'll be able to see the some that have been done in the past, and maybe even catch some that you may not get a chance to catch here on the TV broadcast. We'd like to take you straight to the scriptures. We have been dealing with things in the scripture, in particular the Old Testament at this moment, that deal with some life concerns that will take us to higher heights in God, and it also gives credit to God and yet helps other people. You may think sometimes, oh, I need something. I can do it by myself. But it's always, many times it's easier if you ask someone who already has some knowledge in that area, in that field. Doesn't mean that you are dumb or ignorant or stupid. It does mean that you're wise enough to realize you don't know it all, and there's someone that is an expert or is much more knowledgeable in that area than you. So we will say, we're finding scriptures of people who were able to do just that. And they were able to deal with unsaved people who did not know the Lord, and then those who didn't believe in God. And then yet they have people who did believe in God, and they were able to rally around. So I say, our title today is You Need to Ask Somebody. You need to ask somebody who's in contact with God. Let's take a look here in Daniel, the second chapter. Now, we're going to read quite a bit of the scripture in the King James Version, and then we will move to another portion, another part of the Bible that actually have to support scripture. Now, second chapter in Daniel. I'll go ahead and start reading Daniel 1 through verse 11. And it said, in the second year of the king of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams wherewith all his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him. Then the king commanded to call the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans, and for to show the king his dream. So they came and stood before the king, and the king said unto them, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king of Sarek, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dreams, and we will show the interpretation. The king answered and said unto the Chaldeans, the thing is gone from me. If you will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, you shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. But if you show the dream and the interpretation thereof, you shall receive of me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore show me the dream and the interpretation thereof. Verse 7. Then answered again and said, They answered again and said, let the king tell his servants the dream. We will show the interpretation of it. The king answered and said, I know of certainty that ye would gain the time, because ye see the thing is gone from me. But if you will not make known unto me the dream, there is not but one retreat for you. For you have prepared lying and corrupt words to speak before me till the time be changed. Therefore tell me the dream, and I shall know that ye can show me the interpretation thereof. The Chaldeans answered before the king and said, there is not a man upon the earth that can show thee the king's matter. Therefore, there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such things at a magician or an astrologer or a Chaldean. And it is a rare thing that the king requires. And there is none other that can show it before the king except the gods, whose dwelling is not in flesh. So, here we go. We're finding that in this particular portion of scripture, we find that Nebuchadnezzar had a dream. He was a king. And when he had his dream, it disturbed him. He couldn't remember whatever he dreamed. It bothered him. It made him lose his sleep, his rest. And then he couldn't remember what it was that he dreamed. So how many of you have had a dream? You say, I dreamt something. I had a dream last night. But what was it? I don't remember. You just can't remember what it was. Well, you and I, most of the time, just pass it off or ask God for an interpretation, or Lord, bring it back to my remembrance and explain to me what it is. But in this particular time, this king, Nebuchadnezzar, who was not a Christian, he was not a believer he was not, well, Jesus hadn't made a rival with him, but he had not decided to follow the Lord of the God of all flesh, the one and only true and living God. And here he's called in all of these magicians. So you are supposed to know stuff. You're supposed to be in touch and be able to reveal things, secret things. You're supposed to let me know what's going on. You can explain things that I don't explain because that's your area of expertise. But see, their source is tied to the month sometimes. The magicians dealt with things of timing and brain manipulation, where you try to do magic and you're trying to fool the senses. And it takes a lot of time and practice to make that happen. So we now see people who pull rabbits out of hats. But see, what Nebuchadnezzar did is he didn't ask somebody. He asked the magician, a whole group of people. He asked the astrologers, the individuals who took time to study astrology and the things above the earth, the things in the heavens, the things in the sky, projections and various moon shapes and lunar phases and looking into the stars and seeing what stars connect and how they can make them together and things of that nature. And as they studied the stars and studied the sky day and night, mostly at night, they could determine things that could impact us in the day. And sometimes even the livelihood of people. So he called the astrologers, he called that group of people. And then he called, still talking about the king, he called the Chaldeans, another group of people, and said, listen, this is what happened to me. I had this dream. I don't remember what it was. But you all need to tell me what I dreamed. Not only tell me what I dreamed, but tell me what it means. Now, Nebuchadnezzar was smart in that he asked somebody. But he didn't ask somebody who had contact with the king. And so, and the Chaldeans, the magicians, they stood up to the challenge and said, okay, my king, tell us. They honored him because honor was due him as the king, and said to him, we honor you, live forever, O king. Tell us your dream and we'll interpret it. Give it to us. Have you had people in your life that say, I can handle it? Give it to me. You need me to pay that bill? I got that. Give it to me. You need me to give you a meal? I can handle that. Give it to me. You need me to write your biography? I can handle that. Give it to me. You need me to fix the vehicle? I can handle that. Give it to me. But guess what? Only they disappoint you because they quit. They let you down. Did you have a relationship with someone that I'm going to leave you with you always? It's me and you, baby, just the word. I'm going to never leave you. You're the woman of my dreams. You're the man of my dreams. And what you went through with that book, that job, you won't deal with that with me. only to be disappointed. Disappointment happens. But again, we need to ask somebody. We need to ask somebody who's in contact with God. So we go right back to where King Nebuchadnezzar was. And he challenged these three groups. And each one of them said, oh, we can have it. We will take time and just tell us what it is. Just tell it to us. Just get it out. Get it out your mouth. Say it. And parents, don't we sometimes ask our children, just tell us. Tell us what's bothering you. Tell us what's on your mind. Tell us what's wrong. What's making you act this way? What's making you feel this way? Why? Because you tell me, we're going to try to work on it. We're going to try to make it better. Well, the Bible lets us know. Just in this portion here, there is wisdom in the counsel of men. When you try it on your own, many times you limit it in what you can do. But when you work together with others who know better, who have experience, who have wisdom, who have knowledge, who have an expertise in a particular field, you get somewhere a lot faster. Nebuchadnezzar started out that way, saying, hey, let me call the people who know how to get in touch and answer these questions that I have. They're the experts as musicians, as magicians. They're the experts as astrologers. They're the experts as Chaldeans. They hear my dream. They'll interpret my dream and tell me exactly what does it mean. Some of you have experienced family members who are in contact with God. And those people sometimes will wake up and some of them, I'll tell you what I hate to experience. They say, oh, I woke up and I dreamt about fish. Why am I dreaming about fish? I don't know. They're not looking to go fishing. They're not looking to eat. They're not craving fish and want to eat it. But they thought of a fish. They dreamt of a fish. And that person ends up finding out that somebody in the family is carrying a child. Somebody in the family is his child. So we're saying, really, you need to ask somebody. Find some people who have wisdom, counsel, and judgment that can be able to answer the questions and problems of the day. Just like Nebuchadnezzar did. But he started out going to the wrong fish, but he was right in asking somebody.
So as we find here, the king, since he had lost his rest, and he was calling to the experts of his day, in his opinion, the magicians, astrologers, and Chaldeans, he called all of those folk together and said to them, you need to tell me my dream. And then after you tell me the dream, you need to tell me what it means. Now, to the average person, that is almost laughable to think you had a dream, you slept, nobody else was in your brain, but you want somebody to tell you the dream, tell you what you dreamt while you were asleep, and then tell you what it meant? Come on now. How realistic is that? But there are people who will ask you unrealistic things, unrealistic tasks and requests that they will ask of you. We have found down through the years that as long as you're living, people will ask you things that sometimes that are not their business, but then they'll ask you things that are seemingly impossible to do. And this king did both. It was not their business to find out his dream, but he was making it their business. You tell me my dream. You tell me what it means. And if you don't, he misused his authority and told them, if you don't, verse 6 here, 5, he says, if you don't tell me my dream and what it means I'm going to take your house and destroy it, turn it into a dunghill. That means you're going to destroy it. And I'm going to tear you to pieces. I'm going to cut you to pieces. So that means they're getting ready to die. What are we saying here? Sometimes when people ask you to do things or ask something of you, your life could be at stake. Sometimes it's one of those You better do it or I'll hurt you. You better do it or I'll kill you. You better do it or I'll hurt someone that you love. And that was a threat that they knew, the Egyptians, astrologers, and magicians, astrologers, and Chaldeans knew that this king Nebuchadnezzar would make good on his threat. It wasn't a threat. It was more of a promise. If you don't do this, I'm going to get you. How many parents, you tell your child, if you do this, I'm going to do that. If you don't do this, I'm going to do this. And then once time passes, the child does what you have asked them not to do, and you do nothing. You renege on your part. You must be consistent. Well, as we're going through the scripture here, asking someone, you need to ask somebody, because there is who's in contact with God, because when you do, you get much better answers and you get a much better result. And and then he gave them the promise that now if I'll hurt you, I'll kill you, and I'll destroy your house if you don't tell me. But if you do tell me, verse 6, he tries to sweeten it up. And he says, I'm going to give you gifts. I'm going to give you rewards. I'm going to give you great honor. So cough it up. Show me the dream. Tell me what it means. What does this have to do with anything? Sometimes in life, you are put in situations where you are forced into a corner. And you wonder, God, how am I going to get out of this? What am I going to do here? But that was for that person who asked God is a person who has a relationship with God. These men did not. So they answered the king, verse 7, saying, wait a minute, king, we're going to give you your respect. Just go ahead and tell us what you tell us the dream. And then we'll interpret it for you. But that's when the king said, I can't tell you what the dream was because I forgot. So now he is taking even that off the table. How many times in your life has somebody asked you something, then you ask them a question and it's harder than, they may ask you for a ride and then come to find out how far they live, 30, 40 miles away. Then you find out they're not ready. Or, oh, it's not just me. I need you to take me here. Or I need you to have enough space for 2 or 3 other people. So the task gets harder because you're having to make larger accommodations. Well, this was the same shock that the magicians, astrologers, and the Chaldeans had. And now they're saying, King, okay, tell us. Okay, we know we're getting ready to die if we don't tell you. We know you're going to destroy our houses if we don't. But all of these wonderful gifts and rewards and honor, ooh, they're salivating over that. So go ahead, tell us. Tell us your dream. Only to find out the king said, I don't remember my dream. I don't know what I was dreaming. All I know is it disturbed me. It kept me awake. And I'm calling you because you're supposed to be able to tell me this stuff. So tell me. So he put a demand on them, but they could not handle the demand. So he goes on to say to them in verse 9, but if you don't make known to, he starts to threaten them again. I need you to tell me. And then the Chaldeans, they spoke up. Now the astrologers, magicians, and the Chaldeans were there. But the Chaldeans were the one who responded to the king's request. Because at first it was, tell us your dream. Oh, hell, the king, long live forever. We can handle this. Tell us. It's a light thing. And then the king said, I can't tell you my dream. So he added something else that was harder. Have you on your job experienced a supervisor saying, do this? And you say, okay, I can do it. You understand what all it takes. You know where to get the information, your resources. You have the computer skills and the computer software to get the information out. The printer is working, all of that. And then the supervisor says, and I need it tomorrow by 8 a.m. Like, oh, I don't have enough time to make that happen. So the task now becomes a little more challenging. Well, it was worse than that for the Chaldeans because their lives were being threatened. Their homes where they lived were being challenged, that they were going to threaten, that they were going to be destroyed. But the Chaldeans spoke up. And how many, it's important to have some group of people who realize it's their limitation. Talking about asking somebody. So the Chaldeans realized we have some expertise in this area, but we have limitations. You who drive vehicles, you can drive that car with gas, but it has a limitation on how fast it can go. No matter how hard you push the pedal, the gas accelerator, there's only so many miles per hour that vehicle will run. So there are limitations. And the Chaldeans realized, oh, wait a minute, this is a limitation. And I'm going to have to I'm going to let the king know, hey king, we hail you, we honor you, but this is a hard thing that you're asking. And matter of fact, it's so hard, it's unrealistic. We can't tap into our source that we normally tap into the demonic and find this answer. Let me tell you what we're going to do. The Chaldean in verse 10 said, listen, there is not a man, they're setting the expectation. There is not a man upon the earth that can show thee the king's matter. Saying in our words, there ain't no way possible, man, that anybody can tell you that. Nobody on the face of the earth, nobody here can tell you that. What you're asking is impossible. That's what they would say in our language. He said it's impossible. But see, that's impossible with man. That's impossible with the limits of the demonic. So he says in here that there is no such that can tell you, therefore there is no such king. So there's not another king, there's not another lord, there's not another ruler, not one high-ranking official that has asked such a thing. What you're asking is so out of the norm. They've never asked that of a magician. They never asked that of an astrologer, and they sure haven't asked that of the Chaldean. So you're asking something that's never been done. And he goes on to say the Chaldeans are the ones who are responding. And they're speaking for all three groups, saying it's a rare thing. It's a rare thing. It's extremely unusual what you're asking. And not just asking, but what you're requiring. And there's nobody else. Now they're finna break it down. The Chaldeans and listen. There's nobody else can show this to you, king, except the gods who dwells not in the flesh. Now they were still, now they realized this was not something that they could handle. They understood they had limits. And man, woman, boy, girl, we all have human limits. Maybe you want your child to go to college. I just have limits. I didn't save enough money and time. I didn't know they grew so fast that time passed so fast. I wasn't prepared. I'm not prepared. I can't do it. I have a limit. I want to go to this. I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to be the other. But I have a limit. I only have 24 hours and I have to sleep some of that time. So I have a limit. I just can't do it all in one day. So here he was saying, what you're asking is rare. What you're asking is rare and unusual. It's never been asked for any of these groups. And we're not going to even get this from a natural source. So the king had a response, though. And I'll speak to you this point. When you realize your limitation, you ought to say something. Speak up. And understand people will have a different reaction. See, this is what was going on here. This king who had been sleepless, who had been bothered by his dream, which he couldn't remember, called these group of people together and told them they better tell him. And if they don't, he's going to tear up their houses and tear them apart, cut them into pieces. But if they do, I'm going to give you all this good stuff. Isn't that like the enemy? Put something before you and then try to sweeten it up and say, I'm going to give you riches. I'm going to give you rewards. I'm going to give you I'm going to give you great honor. And they were falling for it. But one group, the Chaldeans, said, this is impossible. We can't go this way. Why is this important? Because you need to ask somebody. You need to ask somebody, though, that has contact with God, the true living God. So the plan is set out. The problem has been placed before these bodies of men. And the Chaldeans spoke up and said, this is crazy. It's impossible. We're not going to be able to find this. It's not what the answer that you're asking for. We can't find it in the flesh. It's not even humanly possible. But the king had a reaction. And understand me, when the truth is told, then people have reactions. They have them no matter their position. And this one had a reaction too. King Nebuchadnezzar said to them, but the scripture says he was angry and very furious. So he was so hot. He was so upset. Hot is where sometimes we describe not as temperature, but as in very upset. He was so upset. He was irate. He couldn't be consoled. He couldn't be counseled. He couldn't be calmed down. He was so upset. He was so angry, as the Bible said. He was furious. Some people say the word catatonic. I mean, they're so angry that they're shaking. They're mad. They're trembling. Sometimes there's a bodily expression that happens when people are that mad. Wrinkled eyebrows, scrunched up nose, teeth grinding. We're talking about angry and furious. And at that moment, anger caused him to make a decree. The Bible said he had a command, and his command went forth, and it was predicated out of not getting what he wanted, not getting the response he wanted, not getting the relief that he was expecting for. Now, this was an angry king, highest ranking person with Babylon at that time. He was a king. And sometimes people, regardless of their position, will get angry when you share with them you do have a boundary. You do have a limit. Yes, you need to ask somebody, but you need to ask somebody who has contact with God. He let them know that this was not a reasonable request, and it was far-fetched. Ain't nobody gonna be able to do what you asked to do. Sometimes we have to tell our children, who's going to do that? Who did you have in mind to do that? Many times they think that the parents are human ATMs, that you are just passing money back and forth. And it goes the other way. When parents get older and the child is now an adult child with their own set of responsibilities, they seem to believe that mom is too old, dad's too old for them to interact with, to interfere with, and somebody else's job is to handle that, not mine. Send them to the nursing home, send them to a rehab, let the home health aides take care of them. I have something else to do. They were shirking responsibility. But here we're seeing that king was mad. He was so angry. That was his response to the boundary. Just like some of us, when somebody in our family tells us, you need to get a job, quit begging, go to work, you get angry. When somebody tells you, make your bed, clean up this room, you get angry. Sometimes the truth and the boundaries cause an angry reaction. In this case, the king retaliated. His response to this angry position was very simply, I'm going to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. Said, none of you all can tell me. All of y'all finna go. All of y'all are finna die. Now, when this decree went out, the soldiers went out. The guards, the captains of the guards went out. These were from the king's guards, because they heard him say, "Kill everybody, every magician, astrologer, every last one of these Chaldeans, even the wise men. They supposed to know so much, and they can't tell me anything. And then they tell me, they come back, their retort to me is, it's a hard thing, and nobody else has ever asked us of that, and can't find it." He said, "That's unacceptable. I'm going to kill you." So they went out to try to kill the folks. And the decree the verse 13 says, the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain. And they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain. Now, Daniel was the name, was one of the names that they gave, that was given to him when he came to Nebuchadnezzar, when he was captured. Now, when he was captured, we'll get to that. But in this person time, and his fellows being the other people who were the wise men with Daniel. And you all may know them as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which were their other names that were given to them. So here we go. Daniel, the guards were coming to get Daniel. Now, Daniel wasn't even invited to the meeting. So he just kind of hearing how the king responded, and this new decree was out, this command to kill all the wise men, because the astrologers, magicians, and the Chaldeans didn't show up with an answer. They didn't comfort the king. They didn't solve his problem, which was telling him what the dream was, and definitely didn't tell them what the dream meant. So Daniel, along with his fellows, we're talking about other individuals who were just like him, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Daniel, all of them, these were his fellows, told them, you finna be slain. We finna go get them. The guards were coming. And so Daniel had a quick question. Hold on a minute. In verse 14, hold on a minute. He answered the captain of the king's guard. He went and talked to him very quickly. He said, well, what's going forth? Why are you trying to kill all the wise men of Babylon? And then the captain of the king's guard shared it with him. And then he asked the question, why is he doing it so fast? Why are you doing it so quick? What's the rush? What's the hurry? What's the big deal? Why we have to do it right? Why are you trying to kill us right now? And then the captain of the king's guard had a request. This captain of the king's guard decided, I need to take you back to the king so you can ask the king yourself for this.